For present one, we're going to need our 4mm hook. Then we're going to need dark sage as a colour, and forge blue, and then antique gold. And this is going to show you how to use the Intarsia technique. Starting off with, this is yarn A, which is dark sage. You're going to make a slip knot. And then the first instructions is to chain 41. So that is your chain 41 done. The most important thing for this blanket is that at the start of every row, you're going to be doing chain 2 and turning it, but that does not count as a stitch, and you'll just go into your normal first stitch like normal. So on this chain, we're chaining 41, but we're not going to work into that one or that one. You're going to be going into your third one with a half double crochet, and that is in USA terms. You yarn over, go into your third one. You do 3 loops in your hook and then pull through all 3, and that is your half double crochet. And for this first row, all you're doing is that all the way down, and you should end up with 39 half double crochets at the end of it. And I'll do that now. And then that is your row 1. So your chain doesn't count as your row, and then your first row is working those half double crochets into your chain. So working row 2, you're working on the wrong side of the work. So this is the right side. You get a chain 2, and then you're on the wrong side of your work. And you can tell because this tail is on the right hand side of this panel, and that means you're on the wrong side. So that chain 2 doesn't count as a stitch, and you want to go into that first stitch there as your half double crochet. And that's your first stitch there. And then you just continue all the way across, and you'll end up with a 39 in total. Okay. So that is row 2 all complete, and that is row 2 all complete, and I'm going to show you how to do row 3 because that is where you're doing your first colour change. This is the Intarsia technique. I'm going to show you how I do it. You can do it any way you want. I know there are other ways. So some people use bobbins because they prefer it. Some people snip the yarn, have a lot of ends to weave in. I carry the yarn behind the work because I just find that the easiest to work with. So I'll show you how to do that. So what you're going to do first is chain 2. And then within the pattern, it says to do 3 half double crochets. So that's our first one, and then our second one. So the most important thing about a colour change is that when we say we do 3 half double crochets, on that third one we're about to do, we do need to change the colour, but I'll show you how to do that. So our next colour we're doing is this blue, so we'll get that ready. So that is row 2 all done. So row 3 is our first colour work, and that's our Intarsia technique. There are many ways of doing this. Some people use bobbin, some people kind of snip the yarn and weave in all their ends. What I do is carry the work on the wrong side. I just find this the easiest way for me, and I'll show you that technique now. So the first thing we want to do is get the yarn we're going to change to prepared. So that is our yarn B, so our forge blue. So I'll just pop that behind there. And then we're going to chain 2, and again this doesn't count as your first stitch. Turn your work, and then we're going to work those 3. So half double crochet into that first stitch, then half double crochet into that second stitch. And now this third stitch, we're going to do something different at the end, and I'll show you. So you yarn over, go into the third stitch like normal, and pull up that loop. And then, because we've got the colour work situation going on the Intarsia, if you don't want to finish that stitch with this colour, what you do want to do is finish with this one. So you pull the new colour, which in this case is yarn B, forge blue, through like that, and then just give this green one a bit of a tug just to kind of secure that in there. And that is how you do your colour change. So the reason you do this is if you carry on with green and just do your 4 stitches blue, you'll have a little bit of green within this blue stitch, and it won't kind of look seamless as you do it. So now we've been told we need to do 15 in this blue colour. So yarn over and do the first one. Yarn over and do the second. Then we'll do another one, 3. So we're on the right side of the work. So when we want to carry our yarn, I kind of do it every 4 to 5 stitches where I catch it on the back. All you need to do for that, so I've done 3, I'm going to be doing my 4th blue one, yarn over, insert into that next stitch, and grab that green and just pop it on your hook like that, just so it's caught behind. We are not pulling it through. And pull the blue through, and then do a normal stitch. So on your right side of the work, you won't be able to tell that you've got that green caught, but on the back, it looks like that. So you caught it. You just don't want that yarn going all the way from here, all the way over here. 15 stitches is quite a long way to carry that yarn. It'll be very loose and it might get tangled. So catching it every kind of 4 to 5 is what I recommend. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll just finish this row with you. 5. 14, 15. So again, on the final stitch, you don't want to pull through with the yarn colour you're using. You want to get your new yarn colour. And in this case, we're doing 3 of antique gold. So, which is this one. So we'll leave the blue behind and pull antique gold through. That put a little bit of a tuck. So now we have 3 colours, but this gold is only going to be used for 3 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, and again on that 3rd stitch you want to get the colour you want, which is this blue, and put it through, and then the pattern says to do another 15 in blue. So remember to catch that green yarn at every 4 to 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, catch that yarn again, 5, 14, 15. So we've done 15 in blue, and we're going to do the final 3 in this green. 1, 2, 3. And that is all there is to the colour change. And obviously this is the right side of your work. So when you're catching everything, you want everything to be put behind the work, and then we'll do a wrong side together. So this next row, we're actually copying exactly what we've done on row 3, but we're doing it on row 4. So there's not too much to think about. So we're chaining 2. Oh, we're chaining 2. Turning our work. And as you can see, that's all our caught yarn on the back there. So we're going 3 in green again. 1, 2, and it's our 3rd one. And again, we want to not go through on that 3rd, well, final stitch. But remember, we're on the wrong side of your work. So this green bit of yarn you want to bring to the front. If you lead it towards the back, then you'll be kind of catching the yarn on the right side of the work and you'll see it, which you don't want. So bring it towards the front, get your next colour, and pull it through. Some people find working on the wrong side easier because you can see everything you're doing and catching. So just, yeah, a bit easier. We are doing 15 in blue. 1, 2, 3. And then on our 4th one, we'll catch that yarn again. So just bring that to the stitch we want. Yarn over, pull through, 3. And again, that's just caught there on the wrong side, which is what you want. 5, 6, 7. Catch it again on 8, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So again, on that 15 one, change into our gold. this one through like that. And now we've done a bit of a while since that green, catching that green, so I'm just gonna catch it with this gold. Put that blue through, and then we're going to be doing 15 in blue again while catching that green yarn. 1, 2, 3, 4. So sometimes I think for that I've done a bit more than 4 to 5, but it genuinely, as long as you kind of keep regularly catching it, it doesn't matter too much. What you just don't want is these really big loops going from here all the way over to there. What you either do is make it too loose, so then it's kind of hanging down your work, or you'll do it too tightly and it's scrunching your work in. By catching it regularly, you kind of avoid that. As you can see on this wrong side, it's a bit more tighter than on the right side. It's probably because you should see it, and that's kind of the ideal what you want. 5, 7, catch again on 10, get the one way, 11, 12, 13, 14. Keep it on the side of your work. Final 15. Then final 3 in green. 1, 2, 3. And that is how you do your colour changes. So I'm going to do a few more rows, and I'm going to meet you back here on row 10, because there's a technique that I want to show you on how to do this colour change. I've completed row 9 and we're about to do row 10. The only reason I wanted to show you guys row 10 is because sometimes when you're looking at the chart or the written pattern, you need to look at the row above to know what you're going to do with these colour changes. And what I mean by that is that if you look at the chart, row 11, so not row 10, but row 11 is gold all the way across, which means on row 10, the row below, when we turn this round, gold obviously is here. But on the next row, gold is going to be all the way across. So we need to make sure we catch this gold on this row and end it up here. So on row 11, it is in the right place. So sometimes you need to be looking at the row in front of you to know where to catch some of these colour yarns, because they're not always going to stay in the same place every row. But I'll show you what I do on this row. The same technique, just kind of catching the yarn, and you just need to know to do it. Sometimes I've done this where you do the row, and then you realise afterwards that you should have caught a specific colour, and you kind of have to undo a bit and then go back again, but it's just what it is. So that is 3, so that is all the same. So this row is identical to the row below, but you're just going to be catching different yarn. So 15. So this first bit is identical. Now the gold. And this row we're still doing only 3. Blue. It's been a while since we've caught that green, so we'll catch that green. And like I said, we now want this gold to not end here, we want it to end over here for the next row. So we'll just be catching both the green and the gold, and you can do that on the same stitch if you want. So you can just bring both of them there, make sure you got both caught, and then just bring it round. Doesn't do anything to the other side, and sometimes makes it easier just to catch both, so you don't have to think about the 2 separate colours. Let's catch both of them again. So if you would rather, you could snip the gold yarn here at row 10 and then just rejoin it for row 11 and do your continuous kind of 3 rows of that gold and then kind of get into. So that if that's what you want to do, you absolutely can. It just obviously involves more weaving and ends, which I like to avoid if I can. Anything to do with sewing or weaving in ends, I try to avoid. I don't mind it too much, but obviously on a blanket this size, if you're doing that every time, it can really add up the amount of hours you're doing weaving in ends. Okay, so that is row 10 completely done. So row 11, instead of, we're not going to have any blue, we're just going to have gold all the way across. We're doing this kind of cross shape with this gold for the present. So same either side. So 1, 2, 3, but instead of picking up our blue, we're going to pick up our gold, and that's where we want it here. If we didn't catch it, it would be all the way over here, and we would be doing a really big kind of going behind. Gold. Accidentally put the green through there. And we're just going to go all the way across. And that is 33 stitches of half double crochet. And we obviously still want to catch our green behind it. The blue restarts again on row 14. So it's actually going to be over here that it restarts. So what you can do is now you can catch that blue and just make it end here. And then a couple rows, you'll just pick it up straight from there. Or you can cut it and weave in the ends and then rejoin it there. I like to catch it now. And then in a couple rows time, I'll be in the right place. So actually, have I caught anything yet? No. So I'll catch both my green and my blue and bring it through. But that is row 11 all done, and that is your Intarsia technique that you need for the entirety of the pattern, because most of it is this Intarsia. Obviously, I've shown you how to do one way. You can do whatever way you like, but the yarn recommended in the pattern is this is what I've done to get that. So if you do something else, the yarn quantity may change. It might be more, it might be less, depending on the technique you would like to do.